Assalamu alaikum everyone, and today we are going to do a review for Welcome to Your Perfect Home, and I'm going to tell you that why you should be playing this roll and write game. Now, we have not done a lot of roll and write games on my channel, but there are a very few ones which I really do like, and Welcome to is one of those. It's highly praised roll and write, and for good reason as well. What you are trying to do in this game is that you are an architect who has been given the work to build up a new suburbs area, and you are actually planning that area. And if your plan gets approved, then you will be the chosen architect getting, well, points for that. So there are certain criteria on how you will be doing points. For those who are not familiar with roll and writes, or in this case flip and writes, in this game, instead of playing on a board with components, you actually write on pieces of paper with your pen. So every player is going to get one blank piece of paper. So you can practically play this game up to as many number of players as you have these sheets. You can get a printable copy. You can laminate them and use dry erase markers as well. Now, what you will be doing in this game is that you have to plan the houses on 3 streets. So on each page, you will be seeing 3 streets, and your job is that based on a chosen out of 3 deck of cards, these will be randomly shuffled. These are practically the same thing, no difference between these decks. You will just shuffle them, separate them equally into equal sized decks, and then you are going to allocate house numbers on each of these houses. But the basic concept of houses will remain, that all the houses should be in ascending order, because on a street you should not have houses that go from 8, 9 and then 5. That doesn't make sense. It can be 8, 10, 12, so you can skip numbers in between, but they should all be in ascending order. So that's first of your task, that you can assign any number to based on the cards that you see here. You can decide that, okay, I'm going to do 5, and everyone is able to see these numbers and then decide that which number they are going to go for. So for example, I decide that I am going to go for number 5. Now it's up to my choice in which row and on which house I'm going to assign that 5 number. So, and based on these assigning, if you are filling these numbers, if somehow these get flipped and you are unable to put a number, then you will mark off one of these red boxes. So that's a foul, that you were given a number and you were unable to allocate it. So you couldn't pre-plan. That means you couldn't pre-plan that my house numbering will go from where to where. So then you get a foul. As soon as you get 3 fouls, that is 3 places where you couldn't put a house number, then the game is over. Everyone will count their score, and you will see who is the winner, or who made the best plans, and who will get the contract to make the next suburb. But that's only one of the ways that the game can end. And of course, you will be thinking, that's very simple. Now we will be coming to the fun part, all the other scoring sections on this one. Because even though you are basically just giving numbers to houses, but there are other things that need to be done in these houses. For example, let me take one of my previous sheets just to show an example. These numbers aren't the only things that you are actually putting on the houses. As soon as you have these decks, you are going to flip them over, and now what you will be having is actually 3 numbers and a combining set of action. We'll call them special actions. And what you are doing on your special action is, so for example, you will be not just taking a number, but you are taking a combination of these 2 cards. So for example, you are taking number 11 or number 3 and then a park with it. Number 11 with a fence with it. Number 6 with a construction with it. And all of these things are going to give you special powers. Let's start with the most simple one, which is a fence. So whenever you are taking this, you cannot just take the number, you are taking the whole group. So you will be taking 11 and a fence. Now, fence is one of those that you can put 11 number anywhere and a fence anywhere. How you mark a fence is that in between two houses, you're going to mark a straight line to mark a fence. So these are dashed lines, and you can just mark a line to mark a fence. Now, what fence actually allows you to do is divide these houses into different estates, and based on the number of houses in an estate, you're going to get score, because by default the houses aren't going to give you score. And that's where this blue section comes in, where actually it's mentioned that if you have an estate of single houses, then per single estate house you are going to by default get 1 point. But if you have two estate plans, a single estate with two houses, then you are going to by default get 2 points. And then for 3 it's 3 points, for 4 4 points, 5 5.6 6 points, but that's the maximum. So that means if you don't put any fences, if your estate is actually going to be bigger than 6, you don't get any points at all. So you have to build fences to divide your whole street into different estates, and then only you're going to score. So this makes this one lucrative, that you want to build more and more larger size estates to get maximum points. But with smaller streets, it might not be always possible. The second thing is the parks. The parks you always have to do, wherever you put the number, you're putting the park in the same street. So for parks, you wouldn't be able to see it from very far away, but on the top here, there are few numbers or scoring track given on the trees, and that means you are building a park on that street. So if you make a tree and park, that means you are marking 3 on any of these houses and then cutting off one of the trees. So that indicates that you have built a park in that street, and the value of that street overall increases. So for the parks, you have a scoring track or end scoring track here. So based on how many parks did you get to build on each street, the more parks you build, exponentially the scores will increase. So for example, just to give an example, let's see this middle street. If you have 0 parks on the middle street, you have 0 points. But if you are able to build 1 park, you get 2 points. If you are able to build 3 parks, it's 4 points. For 5 parks, it's 6 points. But if you build all the 4 parks on this street, then it exponentially increases to 14 points, from 6 points to 14 points. So you want to finish the park. You don't want to have a very tiny park which people cannot play on. So you want to try that, rather than trying to actually have parks in each and every street, if you can focus on doing parks in a single street, that's going to be helpful. But it's much easier to do multiple smaller parks on different streets. So that's one of the strategically balancing of the game, that how do you make your parks. The next is the construction symbol. Now the construction symbol is gives you 2 abilities rather than 1. So one ability is that actually you get to mark under construction on this scoring track below, and whoever has the most under construction symbols get more points. The second player gets less, the third player gets less. So there are fixed points, but you only get those points if you have the maximum under construction symbols used. The second ability that this lets you use is that you get to change the number being allocated to you by 2 up to 2 up or down. So plus minus 2 or plus minus 2 down. So I can use the number 6 as number 5 or 4, or on the positive side 7 or 8 as well. So it gives me more flexibility. So for example, if I had already declared in a street house number 6 and 8, and I was looking for number 7 and it's not coming in the deck, then I would use my construction ability to declare this number as number 7, marks number 7, as well as get one more under construction symbol. So that's one of the things. Now on these cards, you will be able to see in the corner a symbol which gives you some hint of what's coming up next so that you can plan accordingly. So it's partial information that will be available for you. So once everyone has marked, at least taken one group of these and marked those symbols on their boards, next all these symbols will be flipped, and now you have a new set of rules. So the new symbol here is the pool symbol. Now many of these houses actually come with a pool there as well. And as long as you can assign this number to a house with a pool, then you get additional points as well. And for pools, there is a scoring track. Then the last power card, oh, well, not the last, but actually from a points perspective, yes, the last one card is this property value increase card. Now this property value increase card increases the value of a particular size of a state, which is up to you. So you can declare, for example, if I see that I have many two size states, so can use this to increase the value of two size states in my society. So I will mark in this section, I will cross off one of the numbers under 2. So by default, a 2 size state is worth 2 points. But if I cut this off, now every 2 size state becomes 3 points worth. If I use it again, I can increase its value to 4. So it's not just about putting numbers in ascending order, but you are trying to make those combinations. What number is more feasible for me? But I really want to use that property. Number 5, for example, I don't want to use it. I don't have a good place to put number 5, but I really want to build a fence right now. So you will always have these kind of dreaded suggestions that if 13 could have been with this, that would have been good for me. But you are limited to these particular set of cards that what you are going to do. Moreover, there are certain bonuses as well, which are depicted on these cards. So per game, you will not have a whole deck. The game comes with a whole deck of cards, but these you will pick up one from each category, 1, 2, and 1 and 2 and 3. And these cards are actually going to give you some certain objectives that you can aim for additional points. So for example, this one says that you should have at least 3 estates of 3 size, and different cards can have different criteria. So for example, the N3 one is going to say that you should at least have 1 estate of 1 size, 1 estate of 2 size, and 1 estate of 6 size. As soon as you can do this, the player who does it quicker can claim this, and he's going to get 12 points. And then it will get flipped over, and as you can see on the back side, that 12 number is no longer there, and only a secondary number is there, which is 7. So now anyone who claims it later will get only 7 points for this, because you were the one who claimed the 12 prize, and that only goes to the fastest one. So there are certain objective cards, and the game does come with certain advanced objectives as well. So once you have become more familiar with it, you can go with advanced rule, which will require certain number of pools in a certain row with a certain number of parks. So these advanced cards are there as well in case you want to have more variability in your play. But the replay value of this game is really high, because how the cards will come up, you will always shuffle them. How the combination of numbers with the powers are going to come up are always going to be different. There are certain rules for, again, advanced rules for making roundabouts in the game. Again, adds more variability. There are certain negative power cards here as well that lets you assign the same number to 2 adjacent plots, but it does give you a negative point as well. So I have not covered all the rules, but I have given you a gist of how the rules work and what things you are keeping in your mind while you are thinking that where do I assign this number which will not put me in a trap, and how can I maximize my scoring of or the planning of my town, which is going to give me the maximum score and thus the contract to build this town. So that's what the game is. Now, if you love games where it's less chaotic and you're thinking about solving a puzzle, then this game is one of those. This is not a laugh out laughter type of game, everyone interacting with each other. Everyone is just focused on their piece of paper. So it's a very quiet game. Everyone is just looking, how do I maximize this? I don't care what anyone else is doing. They have the same options as in front of me, but how you will be using it, you will end up with entirely different designs for the towns that you come up with in the same game, and with the different scores. There is a solo mode available as well, so you can compete against the system for certain scores and then cover some challenges as well. So there is a lot of game packed in this one. From the rules explanation, it might feel to someone, because before I played it as well, I wasn't really sure that really just putting numbers in ascending order and using some power ups, would it be any good? But really, when I played it, it's a lovely roll and write, flip and write game, and really fun. Whenever I play it, there hasn't been a dull game of it. I always enjoy playing it, so I can easily recommend it to anyone who has not even played board games but wants to try something new. As long as you like some puzzles, as long as you like spending some time doing something else, this is going to be very innovative for you to make your brain cells fire up. So, recommended from me. That's Welcome to Your Perfect Home. Thank you very much for watching and happy gaming.